Hi, and welcome to another video by Jimthecarguy. Today we have a 2013 Toyota Rav4. We're going to be replacing the front brake pads, and believe it or not, we're going to be resurfacing the front rotors. It's not often you can resurface them, but in this case we're going to. First thing we're going to do is we're going to come in here, we're going to pry back on the piston, loosen up these bolts, pull the caliper out of the way, remove the mounting bracket bolts, and we're going to pull it all apart. Alright, so let's get some tools and let's get started. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to pry the piston back into the bore. And you can use a pry bar or you can use a screwdriver, whatever you've got you can use. I use a pry bar because it's a little bit easier to push it back in. And we're going to push the piston all the way back into the bore so that it makes it a little bit easier to get it off. And you just keep constant pressure on the piston. It goes in nice and slow. It's not going to go in quickly. Just keep constant pressure on it. You'll see it pushes all the way back in where it's supposed to be. It pushes all the way back as far as you can push it back in here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take off these two bolts and we're going to remove the caliper. Bolts in the back look like they're probably going to be around 14 millimeters. So we'll just break them loose. They come off fairly easy. Just break them loose like that. Same thing up here. Once you crack them loose, then you can take it off by hand. Keep these bolts because we're going to need to reuse them again to put that the caliper back on. What we're going to do then is take the caliper off the car. We're not going to let it hang by itself. This is what I was telling you about by pushing it back in. See how the piston is all the way back inside the bore? You don't have to fumble around later on with tools to try to push this back in there. It's already recessed in as far as it needs to go. Alright, then we take the caliper and you take a piece of wire, a hanger, whatever you've got, and just secure it up and out of the way so that it's not going to interfere with what you're going to be doing. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this mounting bracket right here. And I'll show you in the back where those bolts are. It's right in the back up underneath here. We're going to take out that bolt right there and we're going to remove this bolt right here and take these two out, and then we're going to take this mounting bracket right off the car. Not really too hard. You just put your ratchet on there and you can snap it loose. Sometimes you'll find the rotor is really stuck on there pretty tightly, which is the case with this particular rotor too. And then what you would do to get it loose, you could bang on it, tap on it with a hammer, do anything you want to do to try to get it loose. Sometimes you could back here with the pry bar and just keep constant pressure on it. Or you can do it the easy way. Just get a bolt and you screw it into the little hole on the side of the rotor there. Small little holes right here on the rotor. You just screw the bolt into it, grab your ratchet, and you tighten it. It pops it right off without damaging the rotor at all. That's it, the rotor is off the car, and now we're going to machine the rotor, and once it's machined I'll come back and I'll show you how to put it back together. Part of a brake job that's overlooked frequently by a lot of people is the brake hardware kit. They go bad, these clips go bad all the time and they get rusted. Once they get rusted, the brake pads don't slide the way they're supposed to, so we're going to be replacing the hardware with new. And the way you get them out of there is you just pry them with a screwdriver and it just comes right out like this. And it comes right out. Make sure there's no rust on this here. If there's any rust in here, you take a file and you take out any kind of rust that's inside there. In this particular case, there is no rust, but we're going to be replacing these clips with new ones. Now there is different clips that go on here. You have to take the clips and you have to line them up. The way that they came off is the way you're going to put them back on. You can see that this one here is a mirror image of that one, so this one here is not the correct one. We need the one that's actually the exact same one, as you can see, mirror image. This one, that's the one that belongs on there. So now we're just going to take this and we're going to push it back in, and these little clips hold on here and hold the clip in place. Alright, pushes it in a little way. You can push it in with a screwdriver or whatever you want. Same thing here, you get in here with the screwdriver and you just pry the clip. That comes right out. Again, check for rust. In this case, there is no rust on there, so we're not going to worry about that. And we're going to replace it with the exact same one that came off. Okay? Exact same one. And it pushes right in. Turn the rotor. Turn the mounting bracket around, and the same thing. You just pry out. And we'll push the clips right in where they belong. Now we know the brake pad is going to be going in like this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the clips that are on here, the rattle clips to keep from rattling in the car. What we're going to do is we're going to take the old brake pad that came off, and we're just going to match up how this clip was on that brake pad. So we know what goes on this way here. We're just going to put it on the pad in the same position that it came off with, just like this. So now this one here we know is going to be the inner brake pad. And the outer brake pad, now we're going to put the other clip back onto the outer brake pad. Again, we're going to put it in a location of where it came off of. It was on here, so we're going to put it right back on the same way that it came off, and it just snaps in. It's a little spot right here where it snaps into, and it just pushes in. You'll feel it snap into place. So that's that. Now we're going to take some grease, and we're going to grease up everything real good in here so that everything slides and nothing binds up. Just a little bit of grease where the brake pads come in contact, like that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take out these slide pieces right here. Just take them out of the caliper altogether. Put a little bit of the brake grease onto it, and you push them back in. Same thing here. Make sure you put them back in the location where they came out, because there is an upper and lower. And what you're going to do is you're going to take the brake pad that was your outer brake pad, and you're going to put it into the mounting bracket where it came out of. Alright, so we know this was the outer. We're just going to tilt it up, and we're going to put it in here. Okay, and that's how the brake pad goes back into where it's supposed to be. And now we're going to put the other brake pad in the back, and then we'll get it back onto the truck. Sometimes it's easier putting it on here. Sometimes it's easier putting it on the car itself. But then once you have it in place like this here, we take it and put it back onto the car. So let's go back to the car and we'll put it on. Now we have the rotor resurfaced. We're going to put it back onto the car. And, sorry about that. Okay, we're going to put the rotor back onto the car, and we're going to put it back on like this. And then we're just going to hold it in place. I find that it's a little bit easier to screw a nut back onto it, just to hold the rotor in place while you're working. That way it's not moving around. So just screw a lug nut on it, holds the rotor in place, and then you can work to put the mounting bracket back on without it falling down. Okay, we slide the mounting bracket back on, and then we take our bolts that we previously took out and screw them in through the back where we took them out from. Catch them both in place before you tighten it up. They put the bolts right back in here where they came out. This one and this one right here, and then we'll tighten those up as tight as they can go. And you get them screwed all the way in, is almost all the way in, and you can tighten them up. Fairly tight. Next, we're going to grab our torque wrench and we're going to torque the caliper hold-down bolts to the proper foot-pounds. Then we're going to grab our caliper. We're going to squeeze the pads in. We'll take the caliper. We're going to lubricate the surface that touches everywhere on the brake pad with some brake lube, and then we'll put it over the top and tighten it on down. In the back and push it down easy, and you'll have to push your little sliders in here, and then we're going to catch the bolts that we took out. Catch them both in there before you tighten them up, and screw them in as far as you can by hand. And once you've got them screwed in as far as you can by hand, you're going to tighten them up. Now sometimes that slide pin up here, sometimes you'll need to hold it with a wrench to keep it from rotating while you tighten it up. It happens a lot. So you just hold it with the wrench and you tighten up the bolt in the back, the 14 millimeters that we took out before. Tighten them all the way in, just snug them in there. Same thing on the bottom. Tighten them all the way in, and just snug it in there. Again, we're going to grab our torque wrench and we're going to tighten up the caliper hold-down bolts to the proper foot-pounds. Here real quick, one more time. All right, we got the bolts in the back down here that hold the mounting bracket in place. We have them tightened up all the way. Both top and bottom bolts are tight. That's this one here, and the other one up top, up in here, right there. All right, then we tightened up the bolts to hold the caliper onto the mounting knuckle, and that's it. We're all set. Thanks for watching. See you guys on the next one.